Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you! Motherfucker! I hate you! This is out of control!
Imagine the shock and fury of parents when they come face to face with the monsters who preyed on their children. Today we'll look at the cases when enraged parents couldn't hold back, taking justice into their own hands right in the courtroom.
Inspector K, over and out.
Rita Isbell, the sister of one of Jeffrey Dahmer's victims, Errol Lindsay, gave a heartbreaking and emotional statement at Dahmer's trial almost 30 years ago.
The oldest sister of Errol Lindsay, whatever your name is, Satan, I'm mad. This is how you act when you are out of control. I don't want to ever see my mother have to go through this again. Never, Jeffrey! Jeffrey! I hate you! Motherfucker! I hate you! This is out of control! Don't fuck with me, Jeffrey! I'll kill you! God damn it! Look at me!
Concentrate.
As Rita Isbell recalled the tragic events in the courtroom and gave a powerful, tear-jerking speech, she lost her temper and lashed out at Jeffrey Dahmer. Her emotional outburst captured the deep grief and sorrow her family was going through.
See, nobody gains anything by just to say more and more years. The important point is that the sentence is structured in such a way that this defendant will never again see freedom. That is owed to this community in order to protect the community, as well as acknowledgement of the seriousness of the offenses. Those are the reasons. The sentence, of course, is to the state prison system. One thing I didn't provide, all of these sentences are consecutive to the time he's presently serving.
Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested in 1991 and sentenced to life imprisonment without the chance of release in 1992. He was found guilty of killing and mutilating 15 boys and men. Dahmer carefully selected his victims from society's margins, often targeting those who were homeless or had criminal histories. This tactic made their disappearance less suspicious and lowered his chances of getting arrested.
Stand right here.
Your Honor, it is over now. This has never been a case of trying to get free. I didn't ever want freedom. Frankly, I wanted death for myself. This was a case to tell the world that I did what I did not for reasons of hate. I hated no one. I knew I was sick or evil or both. Now I believe I was sick. The doctors have told me about my sickness, and now I have some peace. I know how much harm I have caused. I tried to do the best I could after the arrest to make amends, but no matter what I did, I could not undo the terrible harm I have caused. My attempt to help identify the remains was the best that I could do, and that was hardly anything. I feel so bad for what I did to those poor families, and I understand their rightful hate. I know I will be in prison for the rest of my life. I know that I will have to turn to God to help me get through each day. I should have stayed with God. I tried and failed and created a Holocaust. Thank God there will be no more harm that I can do. I believe that only the Lord Jesus Christ can save me from my sins. I have instructed Mr. Boyle to end this matter. I do not want to contest the civil case. I've told Mr. Boyle to try and finalize them if he can.
During his trial, Dahmer was allowed to speak. He began his statement by acknowledging that neither society nor the families of his victims could ever forgive him, but he hoped that God could.
I decided to go through this trial for a number of reasons. One of the reasons was to let the world know that these were not hate crimes. I wanted the world in Milwaukee, which I deeply hurt, to know the truth of what I did. I didn't want unanswered questions. All the questions have now been answered. I wanted to find out just what it was that caused me to be so bad and evil. But most of all, Mr. Boyle and I decided that maybe there was a way for us to tell the world that if there are people out there with these disorders, maybe they can get some help before they end up being hurt or hurting someone. I think the trial did that. I take all the blame for what I did. I hurt many people. The judge in my earlier case tried to help me, and I refused his help, and he got hurt by what I did. I hurt those policemen in the Conorak matter, and I shall ever regret causing them to lose their jobs, and I hope and pray that they can get their jobs back because I know they did their best, and I just plain fooled them. For that, I am so sorry. I know I hurt my probation officer, who was really trying to help me. I am so sorry for that, and sorry for everyone else that I have hurt. I have hurt my mother and father and stepmother. I love them all so very much. I hope that they will find the same peace I am looking for.
He then addressed the judge, requesting no leniency or mercy. Dahmer acknowledged that he fully deserved every bit of punishment that would be handed down to him, as he was among the worst sinners.
I know I will be in prison. I pledge to talk to doctors who might be able to find some answers. In closing, I just want to say that I hope God has forgiven me. I know society will never be able to forgive me. I know the families of the victims will never be able to forgive me for what I have done. I promise I will pray each day to ask for their forgiveness when the hurt goes away, if ever. I have seen their tears, and if I could give my life right now to bring their loved ones back, I would do it. I am so very sorry. Your Honor, I know that you are about to sentence me. I ask for no consideration. I want you to know that I've been treated perfectly by the deputies who have been in your court and the deputies who work the jail. The deputies have treated me very professionally, and I want everyone to know that. They have not given me special treatment. Here is a trustworthy saying that deserves full acceptance. Christ Jesus came into the world to save sinners, of who I am the worst. But for that very reason I was shown mercy, so that in me, the worst of sinners, Christ Jesus might display his unlimited patience as an example for those who would believe in him and receive eternal life. Now to the King eternal, immortal, invisible, the only God, be honor and glory forever and ever. I know my time in prison will be terrible, but I deserve whatever I get because of what I have done.
Dahmer spoke to the court during his sentence, claiming that rather than hatred, chronic sickness was the reason behind his horrible actions. Despite this, he admitted the gravity of his actions and the suffering that he inflicted on his victims' families.
As to count one, the court will impose the mandatory life sentence plus an additional 10 years on the habitual criminality. Count two, life imprisonment plus 10 years consecutive to count one. Count three, life imprisonment with the date of parole eligibility 70 years from the inception of that particular sentence. I don't have all the numbers that I can't work it out, but it'll be 70 years from the beginning of that sentence, which will be consecutive to count two. Count four, life imprisonment with a parole eligibility to be 70 years from the commencement of that sentence, consecutive. Where am I at on the numbers? Somebody has to. What, Madam Reporter, what was the last? I should check this off on here. So last four was the last one? Okay. Count five, life imprisonment, parole eligibility to be 70 years after the inception of that sentence to be consecutive to count four. Count six, life imprisonment with parole eligibility to be 70 years after the inception of that sentence to be consecutive to count five. Count seven, life imprisonment with parole eligibility to be 70 years after the inception of that sentence to be consecutive to count six. Count eight.
In addition to being found guilty of drunk and disorderly behavior, disorderly conduct, second-degree sexual assault, and child molestation, he was found guilty on 16 counts of first-degree murder.
12, count 14 life imprisonment with parole eligibility to be 70 years after the inception of that sentence, to be consecutive to count 13, count 15, life imprisonment with parole eligibility to be 70 years after the inception of that sentence to be consecutive to count 14. I believe I have, and I intended to follow the recommendation of the state. I could have said something different which would have had the same impact. I really see nobody gains anything by just to say more and more years. The important point is that the sentence is structured in such a way that this defendant will never again see freedom. That is owed to this community in order to protect the community, as well as acknowledgement of the seriousness of the offenses. Those are the reasons. The sentence, of course, is to the state prison system. One thing I didn't provide, all of these sentences are consecutive to the time he's presently serving.
Jeffrey Dahmer was given multiple consecutive life sentences, guaranteeing that he would spend the remainder of his life in prison without the chance of being released. These sentences, when combined, amounted to an astounding total of 941 years in jail, which reflected the seriousness of his horrific acts and the court's determination to make sure he would never walk free again. Well, no criminal might ever top this serial killer, but this next predator wasn't any different.
He went on to abuse the corpses of these 3 victims.
On July 19, 2013, Madison was taken into custody after Sherelda Terry's corpse was found in the garage behind his apartment building, which is situated at the junction of Hayden and Shaw Avenues. Madison was then placed under arrest. After the discovery, Madison was extensively interrogated to get information.
I am struck by the sheer inhumanity of what one human being could do to not one, but 3 human beings. It is incomprehensible. You cajoled, lured, and deceived Shatisha Shealy, Angela Deskins, and Sherelda Terry to your apartment for your depraved purposes. You went on to abuse the corpses of these 3 victims. You stripped them from the waist down. You folded them in half, binding them so that their feet were up by their ears. You wrapped them in multiple layers of trash bags, and you discarded them. Upon consideration of the relevant evidence, the testimony exhibits admitted in mitigation, it is the judgment of this court that the aggravated circumstances of course of conduct, felony murder, kidnapping, felony murder, rape, of which the defendant was convicted, outweigh the mitigating factors by proof beyond a reasonable doubt. Accordingly, the sentence of death is imposed upon the defendant, Michael Madison, on counts 1, 4, and 7.
Madison was sentenced to a total of 51 years in jail for several minor offenses, including rape, abduction, possessing a firearm while disabled, and gross abuse of a corpse. He received sentences of 11 years for each kidnapping, an additional 11 years to life for the rape, 3 years for the weapons charge, and 1 year for each count of abusing a body. At the sentencing hearing for Michael Madison, the East Cleveland serial killer, Van Terry took the stand to confront the man who killed and tortured his 18-year-old daughter, Sherelda Terry.
Right now, I guess we're supposed to, in our hearts, forgive this time. Touched our families, taken our child.
As Van Terry turned to face Madison, the killer responded with a grin. Terry had an emotional outburst and lunged across the room, aiming for the man's face who had taken his daughter's life. This next predator committed such a horrible act that it got a fellow inmate furious with him. Christopher Elwell was found guilty of sexually assaulting a 4-year-old girl and given a jail sentence ranging from 7.5 to 15 years. The assault took place at a house in Dover, where Elwell was staying between June 24th and June 25th, 2017.
And they described him showing them videos of acts similar to the ones that she had done. The defendant was required to register as a offender and had been living at 12 Mineral Park Drive off and on, but more than 5 times a month, and had not changed his registration with the Somersworth Police Department.
Josiah Davies was cuffed and waiting for a hearing and arraignment on a probation violation when he repeatedly headbutted Elwell until officers intervened and took him down. The Stratford County Attorney's Office stated that the two men were strangers. Davies' hostile response may have been sparked by anything connected to Elwell's case. This father did something so unforgivable that led to a shocking confrontation from his own brother. "23-year-old Quinn Bose was convicted of murdering his 11-week-old son, Parker, from blunt force injuries to the head. Bose said that after feeding the infant, he slept off on the couch and woke up to see Parker curled up next to him. He suggested that the baby, having escaped from his bobby cushion, may have hit his head on a table. According to an autopsy, the victim suffered blunt force damage to the head, which is consistent with homicide. Just as Quinn Bose was being led out of an Indian courtroom in handcuffs, his brother, Jeremiah Matthew Hartley, suddenly lunged forward and struck him on the head. While this case was tragic, this next incident will leave you troubled.
Am I charged with anything? That's all I want to know. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
After crashing his SUV into a group of people watching the Christmas parade in Waukesha, Wisconsin in 2021, Daryl Brooks was taken into custody for questioning. The act regrettably claimed the lives of 6 individuals and wounded several more.
When you left Stephanie's,
It was still daytime.
it was still daytime?
Yes.
Okay. Were there still a lot of people out?
It was still people out.
Okay.
It was still people out. Not a lot in that area. By the park, it was a lot of people out. Like I said, it looked like something was, I don't know what the hell. But it was a lot of people out. And it was, like I said, it was people, it was older couples walking down the street. It was younger people walking down the street. People
Was it like an event or something was going on?
I don't know, but it kind of seemed like it was a lot, like it was something going on to where it was vibrant. Because there was a lot of people everywhere.
Walking up and down the street.
Everywhere. It's people. That's why I'm saying, like, if I got into a fight with her right there, it would be impossible for somebody to not be like, hey, this guy's fighting this chick or whatever the case may be. Like, how could somebody not see something?
How long was it between leaving Stephanie's and those cops yelling at you at the door of that guy's house?
Was it dark when they yelled at you?
Yeah, by the time they came, it was dark.
Okay.
But we had been sitting out there. We had been sitting out there for a minute, me and the guy. We was sitting right there on the porch. We was just sitting there.
To find how long? Estimate.
Maybe 20, 30 minutes, maybe. It wasn't long, but it was long enough for, like I said, he let me use his phone. We sat on the porch. We were sitting right there, just like this, just sitting on the porch. While I called me an Uber.
During the interrogation, the prosecutor emphasized many moments where Daryl Brooks was exposed as a liar. The jurors also saw Brooks' effort to cover his face.
I called the Uber. I said, look, man, I let him know. I said, look, I ain't trying to rob you or nothing like that. Because when I knocked on the door, he kind of was like, whoa. I'm like, look, I don't got no weapons. I'm not trying to break in your house. I'm not trying to rob you. Nothing like that, dog. I just need to call an Uber. That's it. I'm not, he was just like, okay. I'll come out. Boom. I need an Uber to, what's your address? He told me the address. And we was just sitting there waiting. That's how I was going to get back home. I told him, I said, I got the money on my card. I'm not asking you for no money. I just need to use your phone. That's it. That was it. That was all. And then from there, we sat on the porch and just shot the shit out.
I'm saying, you told me last night he was cool with that. Like, he wasn't,
it
wasn't being weird. He was just like, oh yeah, I'll help you out.
Yeah, we just sat there on the porch. He did ask me, he said, do you need a jacket? I said, no, I'm straight. Like, I'll be home as soon as the Uber come. I know it's probably going to cost me probably like $40 to get from me. I'm guessing. I don't know, but probably. But I had enough on my card to where I knew I can get home. And that was the main thing. I'm like, I'm just going home. She can keep the money or whatever. I didn't even try to contact her further. I just was like, I'm gone. I'm calling this Uber and I'm going home. That's it.
Let me ask you this, Daryl. So you weren't out in Waukesha Saturday, just Sunday?
Yes, sir.
Right? Okay. Nothing physical yesterday. Like I told you.
Brooks' initial claim didn't convince detectives of how a friend had taken him to Waukesha in a tan Kia to see the Packers game.
You're a part in the investigation. There's a lot of parts, right? In the investigation, there's people we talk. Well, this domestic abuse thing I'm telling you about, right? Okay.
So wait.
Hold on. Let me go.
I'm sorry. I just had a question. But
you talked about being a religious man, right?
I can do better. I can definitely do better.
We all could.
I'm not.
We all could. That's why.
Yesterday was a mistake. I should have just freaking watched the game and just fucking went home.
Right.
Because.
And that's the thing. What do they teach us in Christianity? Daryl, that they teach us that we're broken, right? We're sinners. Even when we're born sinners. We're broken. That's why
Psalm 51,
we're so
17.
thankful for God's grace and forgiveness, right? When we ask for it. Even though we don't deserve it. But when we ask for it, He gives it. All right? You're a father. You got 3 children, 18, 14, and 7.
Yes, sir.
All right? You got a mama that raised you well. And a God you believe in.
Absolutely.
Right? And all of them are, here's the thing they'll all want, is to tell that you're telling the absolute whole truth and nothing but the truth, right?
Absolutely.
So help you God, right?
Absolutely.
Sound familiar? We've all heard that, right? And I just have concerns if I fact check that Darrell's not telling me the truth. You don't have a car, so Marcus had to bring you out. You don't own a car, your mom doesn't own a car, right? So Marcus had to bring you out.
Detective Carpenter repeatedly confronted Brooks, making it clear that he was aware of the lies that Brooks had been telling. The interrogation lasted 5 hours as the detective pressed Brooks for the truth.
So why did we find you with a car key in your pocket?
It wasn't in my pocket. I don't even know where they said that was laying on the ground.
It's yours.
Yeah. It should have been by my ID.
Yeah, it's yours. It's your car key, okay? Because it goes to a Ford Escape in your mom's name covered in Waukesha. Okay. Listen, Daryl. I'm trying to be as open and honest with you as I can be. You know, I'm Christian too, and believe me, I'm not perfect. Neither are you. And I'm not calling you a terrible man. I'm not saying you were out yesterday hunting, and just let me finish. But you did not walk to that house. You did not walk to that house. You did not come here in a tan Kia. You didn't.
And who?
You did not come out here in a tan Kia. You got a key in your pocket. Car, your mom's name. Okay? And that he works for that car.
And then suddenly, Brooks had nothing to say when he realized that Detective Carpenter had uncovered all the lies he had been telling him. The weight of truth left him speechless.
For the love of God, Marcus. For yourself, for your family. You know what happened yesterday. For the people. Tell me what happened.
With what?
With the car.
What am I being
With your mom's
investigated for?
car. You were driving goofy, people called in, you drove out of there in your mom's car, the red car, you're driving a little silly, probably because you're pissed. You met up with Erica in the car at the park. Now initially I believe you told us the gas station, do I have that right? And then you changed it to the park. So that's an inconsistency.
No, I said the house was by the gas station. When you said what was by
You said you went
landmark.
and it was by a gas station, that's where you met her.
No. I said I met her at the park.
Okay.
At a
Well,
creek.
you met her,
I did say that.
You met her at the park in your mom's car. A red Ford Escape. She got in, you talked, and what you're telling me seems pretty consistent, that there was nothing physical between the two of you.
No.
But you met her in the car.
I didn't put my hands on her or nothing.
But you met her in the car.
What's going on, man?
Asking you a question.
You
were out there
just tell
driving
me
kind
what's
of
going
crazy.
on.
Some people said you were driving kind of crazy. We got reports of it. You got the key, you got the car. Did you take the car or did your mom give you the car?
The detectives noticed that when they asked Brooks questions about the incident and what had happened, he would ask counter questions to inquire about what charges he might face.
I know you know what car I'm talking about.
I just want to know. So
Some people
now
reported, all those
okay,
people out there, they
no.
reported that car driving a bit erratic.
I know what you're saying. All I'm saying is this. We all been straight up with each other. You knew it was more to what you was asking me yesterday.
Didn't know
That
for
would
sure.
explain the FBI and all that, right?
They're not here today. So if it's that big a deal, you don't see them here today.
Come on, Kurt. We been.
You guys met in the car in the park.
We been cool, man, the whole time. If I did something wrong,
that's why they were
serious-
here. But do you see them here today? They're not here today.
Yeah, but y'all lied to me, man. You made it seem like they just come for no reason.
Well, here's the thing, Daryl.
And I'm like, what
Hey,
if it's
listen to
that?
me for a minute.
I apologize.
I can give you a clean slate here.
I apologize.
Because you have lied to us as well. Because you came out here in the red Ford Escape. Okay, that is what you came out here in. You had the key. Right? So what I want to do is try to give us all a chance to reset. You understand what I'm saying? Start over. Because you're not giving us an accurate story. You didn't ride out with Marcus in a tan car. You said your mom doesn't have a car. I've just told you we've disproven that. All right? I don't know what kind of woman she is. I don't know what y'all been through.
Brooks eventually admitted that he was the one driving his mother's SUV. Throughout the interrogation, he asked several times about the specific allegations he was facing.
But you were seen in the car driving kind of acting a fool. Okay? In basically the same area that you've already been able to describe to me. I'm just trying to figure out how and why it happened. What made you tear out of there? What made you so mad where you're like, fuck it, and you raced on out of there? And then people go, man, he's driving around here kind of fast.
All I want to know, like I said, y'all been cool with me. Am I charged with anything? That's all I want to know. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
Right now,
Listen.
you were driving a bit
So,
reckless.
listen.
Might be an OWI.
Listen. No, I don't drink.
You said you had a couple cold ones during the game.
Nah, yeah, but I'm saying the hard alcohol, not my thing. I was not drunk when you get the.
According to Detective Carpenter, Brooks started to complain about shoulder pain during the interrogation and requested to make a phone call. Carpenter noted that it appeared to be a small tactic to stall. During the trial, when the court asked Brooks to bring a letter, he responded disrespectfully and showed no remorse for his actions.
Without having that letter.
So
the state has the ability to question you about that, or question this witness, and to look at the veracity of what your claims are here. So, when I may take an early lunch. If that's in your cell, then you can go get it and bring it. But without that letter, I'm not allowing this line of questioning. Do you have the letter with you in court?
I just said no. How many times I gotta say the same thing on record?
You know, sometimes, sir, I don't hear what you say because you interrupt me so much or you answer quietly. And I'm taking notes and I'm focused on probably a dozen things at the same time.
But if I say something under my breath, everybody seems to hear it. Everybody seems to hear
in
that just fine.
In a quiet courtroom, yes, we can hear it very clearly.
Everybody assumes that it has to be disparaging.
Once again, you're doing this tactic.
Because
it's
not a tactic, it's facts.
It's facts. To some other reason.
It's facts. Because I find it hard to believe that
I'm gonna
all of a sudden nobody hears what I say.
I'm going to let the state make a record of why they believe it's objectionable, because I haven't let them do that. I've given you multiple opportunities to tell me why you believe it's...
I didn't get these pictures from nobody else. Why was somebody else...
The record will reflect you have 2 pictures that you believe were from this witness.
That I know is from...
No, that you believe.
That I know.
The prosecution team voiced their frustration, pointing out that many of Brooks's court complaints were about which he had already been warned when he decided to waive his right to legal representation.
All right, I'll ask the state their position on all of this.
My position, Your Honor, is that these pictures, first of all, should not be admissible. 1, because of a discovery violation. We've never seen them before. 2, because we have reason to believe that he did not get them from Erica Patterson. He was on a jail phone call talking to his mother, Dawn Woods, about Dawn Woods sending these photographs to him. Now,
that's a lie. I object to that.
Let the state make their argument without interruption, sir.
That's a lie, though.
3, I believe that these photographs are designed to make a suggestion to the jury that Erica Patterson is a bad mom. I think that is what the defendant is trying to do. And if we're going to go down that road, then we would be forced to counter that claim. First of all, it doesn't make her an incredible witness, if it's even true. And second of all, if we go down that road, we would be forced to counter that claim by pointing out that not only does the defendant not live with the child in question, he doesn't live with any of the other children that he has. He impregnated Erica Patterson when she was a minor in Nevada, and for doing so, he was convicted of statutory seduction, pled guilty in March of 2007 to that felony offense, and is an offender on the registry as a result. So if there's any causation that would lead to Erica Patterson being a bad mom, Mr. Brooks has a direct role in that causation.
And that's
furthermore,
I object to that.
I'm not
because that's a lie.
Let him
at the end of the day, if we gonna open the door on that, no, since he want to make a record and not be accurate, so let's be accurate all on the record. Since you think you know so much,
once
so
again,
we can
Mr.
open the
Brooks
door
is
on.
being
We can
loud,
open the door on how old she told me she was when
interrupting.
we met. We can ask that question
He is
too. Then
over the
Did you
top,
ask
animated
that? Did
right
you know
now.
that?
Mr. Brooks, I'm ordering you to sit down and to let the state finish.
No, I'm not going to sit here and let somebody be inaccurate on the record.
The state also replied to Brooks's claims that there wasn't enough time to prepare for the trial. The prosecution emphasized that every time a witness was summoned, Brooks quickly took out a folder from one of his 3 note boxes and started cross-examinations.
Right. Under Illinois versus Allen, I've warned him repeatedly. He's being removed from the courtroom. And you know what? Let me dial that back. We're just going to take an early lunch, 1 hour. We'll be back. And unless he brings that letter, and he can show it is inadmissible, she will not be questioned, and under 906.11, I will declare the cross-examination closed. Thank you, we're in recess, 1 hour.
Get your facts straight. So let's open the door on all of it then, so we can get all of it on the record. Since you think you know so much. Did you know she said she was 18 when I met her? Did you know that?
He was removed from the courtroom because he wouldn't let anybody else speak and kept interrupting the judge and the state. Daryl Brooks was found guilty of multiple criminal charges after a jury determined he was accountable for the 2021 Christmas parade attack in Waukesha. The judge sentenced Brooks to 6 consecutive life sentences for murder charges and an additional 762 years for the endangerment counts. Well, that brings us to the end of today's video. Today we've seen how sometimes the parents become too overwhelmed by the situation that they decide to confront the child predators in courtroom settings. The emotional turmoil and protective instincts of these parents highlight the urgent need for a stronger response to those who harm our children. Clearly, the current system often leaves victims feeling powerless, but these courageous actions remind them that parents will do whatever it takes to protect their children. If you share this sentiment, please support our channel by liking this video and subscribing for more insights into these critical issues. And if you found this video impactful, be sure to check out our next one here.